and welcome to another Side Geeks podcast. Today, we will be talking about a lot of shit that happened this week. We just finished watching House of the Dragon just now, fresh out of the oven, and we're pretty excited about that. We're going to talk about She-Hulk, Samaritan, and probably a lot more. Just before we start, I wanted to say thank you. I think we said the thank yous at the end of the episode last time, but I wanted to put it up front and say thank you to the people that have been liking our reels and TikToks and posts on Instagram and on YouTube too. Views are increasing, so thank you for the support. Even if it's friends and family, thank you for sharing. This new journey that we have. I'm having a lot of fun with these guys, and I think I everybody feels the same way because we're all like in the chat every day, trying to come up with ideas, trying to discuss things or not discuss things because we're like, save it for the podcast. So here we are finally. So get ready because we're gonna get into it right away. And I also want to say we will be talking a lot of spoilers, She-Hulk spoilers. House of the Dragon spoilers. So if you have not watched these episodes, I don't know what you're doing here. Go watch that shit and then come back because we're going to dissect these things like a boss. J. Mosiah, anything to add?
No, you summed it up perfectly.
I do want to add one thing. I'm looking forward to the special podcast where we can have both Z and Rudy rival each other in the great debate of Star Trek versus Star Wars. I'm going to be hosting that one for sure. It's coming to a theater near you. We're going to get Bruce Buffer to announce the people that are coming in. Just kidding. We're not actually Bruce Buffer. So I can't wait. Me and Rolly, when he has a moment, we're gonna put a plan together and we're gonna have you guys debate. See who comes out on top.
I think that, and yes, to give you the little background, there was a little thing that came up in our group chat, where we throw ideas or whatever, and Zaya's a big Star Trek fan. I'm a big Star Wars fan. Well, I think, Zaya, you're both, right? But you're side more on the Star Trek.
I will tell you this.
Listen. There's no time to say I'm this, I'm that. We know what each one of you is. Stop being like politically correct. Z's pro Trek, and you're pro war. So let's just make sure we have everyone in the right place. Stay in your lanes, people.
Let me give you a little background. I never saw like the original 3 until the last one of the new 3 came out.
You know what?
The last one of the new 3 came out, and I just saw all 6 at one time.
Forget the debate. Forget the debate. Let's set up a ring in my backyard, and we're gonna wrestle this shit out. So I don't know when you're coming to Chicago, J-Mo, but we
honestly, if I have to, I'm buying a ticket just for this event.
Absolutely. I mean, and we'll make it free to watch. But we definitely put some spandex on and start, do some WWE old school.
We're gonna have Rudy in a luchador outfit, and then Z coming in like Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Yeah, maybe not because we want Star Wars to win. So maybe the debate is good.
Star Trek.
But all right,
I will give Star Wars one thing. It got more interesting starting from Mandalorian on, because previously
save it for the debate.
I'm done. I give you a little preview there, right there.
The good thing is that you know timelines. I like that. So She-Hulk episode 3. It was the people versus Emil, Blonski. What a great episode. So I'll give a high level summary of what happened in the episode, and we'll dive into the weaves after that. So right off the ending of episode 2, we see Jennifer Walters go straight to the jail to go talk to Abomination and find out what happened, right? So we quickly learn that, J-Mo, you were exactly correct. You called it on the last podcast, and I was like, yes, he called it. Wong broke him out of prison to go, do a fight unwillingly, forced him and took him out of prison. And, we find out that that's what happened, right? Jennifer or She-Hulk breaks the fourth wall once again. trying to let us know, like, I know you can't wait to see Wong. You're gonna see him, but this show is about me. She makes it really clear, and then we jump straight into a side story about the misogynistic attorney from episode 1. I think they used to work together. I think it was Dennis Bukowski.
Yeah, the DA.
And how he got catfished by Runa, a shapeshifter elf from New Asgard, right? While this is happening, Wong appears out of nowhere and he confirms Emil's story about breaking him out of prison. He accepts to be the star witness for the hearing, and all of a sudden we have this hearing for Abomination.
I mean, let's tell them that Megan the Stallion was the shape-shifting person he fell in love with.
yes. Megan Thee Stallion, for sure. And to be honest with you, like, I didn't know who this person was till I started doing some research. And then
You never heard of WAP? You never heard of WAP? I mean, come on.
Is that WAP? I thought she was the.
I mean, she's half WAP. I mean, the other half was Cardi B.
There you go.
I gotta say that, yes. Once I heard some of the songs, I remember several TikToks that come up on my For You page. So during the episode, we have like this side story with Dennis Bukowski and his hearing, and then the Abominations hearing, where you kind of go back and forth, right? With that, during the middle of the episode, they quickly both get resolved, and we're gonna get into the details of that. Towards the end, right, we see a glimpse of the Wrecking Crew, for what I understand. I mean, they called out one of the guys being Thunderball. She-Hulk pretty much destroys them with very little effort. And then we end with the nice end of credit scene, and we saw that ass shake. And
then Z kept sending me many different variations of the ass shaking on the side. I was like, okay, I get it. You want her as the Joker ass shaking. Got it.
Hey, we need more ass shaking in our lives. Thank you.
You know why I sent those? Because those were all from people from She-Hulk, like, admiring this, like, Instagram, like, artist who's, like, posting these videos of it. So that's why I was like, it was like the costume designer, the executive producer and director. They were like sharing this on their Instagrams. I was like, oh my god, I love this video by myself, but then these guys from the show itself are like, hey, this is awesome. I love how you guys are interacting with the show and stuff. So I thought that was cool.
My biggest take from the episode is the fact that it seems like there's going to be a cameo of the week so far. These are my little cliff notes that I've noticed. Like, it seems like there's going to be a cameo of the week. Now I'm not sure if Emil Blonski is the bad guy anymore, because of his 7 true loves that showed up and this little house they're going to be going to in the world. He agreed to wearing the dampener so that he's never going to be Blonski unless, somebody rips it off, which I think is going to be something involving Thunderbolts.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see about that. And then I guess the last take I had was the fact that I just had a brain freeze. Damn it.
That's okay.
I was going to say.
Okay. So just to piggyback on that, right? Like, yes, like straight off the bat, when she breaks the fourth wall, and speaking about the cameos, right? When she breaks the fourth wall, and she kind of like looks at the camera, and she lets go of the steering wheel. I don't know if you guys caught that. She lets go of the steering wheel. She's like, so almost like she's letting us know that she's full comic book mode, like, everything is happening. Nothing's going to happen. Like, I know what's going to happen. And she's talking straight to us and telling us that, like, yeah, we'll see Wong. We'll see Bruce, Abomination or whatever.
You know what I loved about that part? It was kind of like she was talking to James. She's like, we're not going to have a cameo every episode, except for Wong, except for Blonski, except for Megan. I was like, oh my god, this is basically what James was talking about.
Exactly.
And she's like replying to him.
The one thing I just remember is, like, the Wrecking Crew. That's what I wanted to dive in. So the Wrecking Crew looks like a joke. But my thing is, are they going to stay a joke? Because, so I was doing research on, I didn't know who Wrecking Crew was. I was doing research on, so I know, they said that they got their powers, or the main person that got this power is the leader, that I forget his name. he was just born with it. He ended up having powers through it. But how the crew got powers was the Asgardian tools that they wield got hit with lightning, and that's when everyone got their powers. So I'm wondering if these guys are going to actually stay being a joke, like the Movabro guys in Hawkeye. Are they going to be a joke like that, or are they actually going to have like real powers and stuff?
Yeah,
So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Let me pull up our Instagram page because I think I put a little quick snippet of something that I thought was interesting because, yes, I heard those whatchamacallit, like theories. Well, that story about them getting their powers by like an Asgardian like rain or storm or whatever, and like the actual crowbar or whatever. Like everybody got a little bit of power or whatever. But interestingly enough, they are in the 1984 Secret Wars comic book.
Right.
And the Absorbing Man is really the one that is leading them. So let me see if I can pull it on screen right now. There it is. So we have the Absorbing Man, the Wrecker, and his wrecking crew. Also, so the Wrecker and the wrecking crew, Thunderbolt, Piledriver, and Bulldozer. We have them on screen right now for you to see. And I thought that was interesting because maybe, right, there'll be a tie-in to that, or once again, maybe it's nothing, right? Like, because these guys obviously don't have any powers right now. Like they couldn't even fucking do anything, right? So my theory is hopefully we'll see them, right? But with these shows, it could just be a cameo.
I think they'll be part of the show when more episodes. I think you're going to see a cameo now from what was the female friend of Thor's when he had the crew? It's Sif, okay. Lady Sif, SIF,
Sif.
Lady Sif.
Yeah, I just googled it, but I couldn't type fast enough.
So I think she's the next cameo, by the way.
Interesting.
If I had to predict somebody, I think she might cameo in it, and just it's going to be creating more women's power. That's what She-Hulk's all about. Women's lib is strong in this one, so I think she's going to show up talking about the stolen tools from New Asgard.
But I think that
you know what? Actually, first of all, she actually did like cameo on a Marvel TV show before. She cameoed on the first season of Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So I mean, it's possible she'll do it again. I mean, she's done it in the past, and she did it in Loki. So
she was in Loki, yes.
Gotcha. So, yeah. Well, yeah, that's right. And what I'm thinking though, and that I'm thinking if it's a cameo, it's possible. But I'm thinking because I was also thinking about the Wrecking Crew and like because these guys evolved into like the villain of this show. But I think it's still gonna be Titania. I think there's a lot of people talking about that as her making a comeback and in this show and like. Not being happy that she got her ass whooped in the first episode. So we'll see what develops there. But as of right now, this show is just kind of like a sitcom. I mean, there hasn't been no main bad guy. I mean, or at least anybody to challenge her, right?
We're going to find out towards the end who's been pulling strings, whether it be Fisk, whether it's Kingpin, or whether it's somebody else. I think we're going to see towards the end something attaching this show to other realms of the shows that we've seen. So someone's pulling all these strings now that they know, oh, she's a Hulk, because they tried drawing her blood. So they're trying to do something. They're trying to create other Hulks. That's why I keep going towards Thunderbolts, because we might end up seeing this is how the world gets Red Hulk, because they draw her blood possibly. They mutate it even worse. They put it into somebody, and now we have Red Hulk. Because we're usually Red Hulk is General Ross, but the actor that played him has passed on, rest in peace. But we'll see what happens next with General Ross.
Yeah. But they have recast in the past. I mean, Terrence Howard was the original Rhodey. Then it was what's his name now? The new guy, or not new guy now, but
Cheadle.
Don Cheadle. Don Cheadle's now Rhodey. So, I mean, but I don't know. I mean, but they're not willing to recast T'Challa. Black Panther.
Just out of respect.
I think that's
out of respect.
I think that's a BS excuse to. I don't know. Seen all these campaigns online, especially from like African American like critics and people like tweeting about it, and majority of people would rather them. And it's even they said even Chadwick Boseman they put like quotes out there. He wanted to see them pass on the role of T'Challa, like how they do with James Bond, like how they do with Spider-Man and Peter Parker. But what, he dies and then that's it. He's gone. There's no more T'Challa.
Only because like there's a comic book storyline that he dies, so I think they're just basing it off of that. I don't think they're basing it off. It's a good storyline. I mean, I actually like that one where Shuri takes over, but also it gets moved on to his son. And so if they're going about that road, I would love to see it. I'm okay with not recasting him. It doesn't really bother me much.
Yeah, and I guess we'll find out a little bit more this November, right? When Wakanda Forever comes out, I think we'll get some more answers there. So going back to She-Hulk and the sitcom-esque type thing, right? Like, I mean, I think honestly, I like the episodes. They've been getting a lot of hate. I've seen a lot of people hating on them because there's like not a lot of action. I mentioned a little bit last week on how, the fun starts after the episode. There wasn't a lot of timeline questions or anything that came out of this episode, I don't think, unless you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but at least the cameos and like where the story's going, I think is probably going to lead out to something big the next few episodes, right? Because I think it's a total of 6 episodes, so I think the next 3 are probably going to be super huge.
Yeah, I think with both of these, with this show, I think the first 2 episodes, I mean, they were more action packed than this one. Yeah, we had a little something at the end of it, but I think with all of the Marvel TV shows, you've always noticed that the middle episodes are always a little slower. Yeah. There's always a dull factor before shit really picks up. So I'm not worried about it. I've enjoyed this show as much as I probably enjoyed Hawkeye, and Hawkeye was complete. I always tell people Hawkeye's how they made it is like, imagine Marvel doing Home Alone. That's how I picture Hawkeye.
Yeah.
And like that's how I look at it. And so like even with She-Hulk, it's a sitcom, but it's how Marvel does a sitcom. So like I would love to see how like they ramp it up at the end.
Absolutely, and it was not a boring show. I mean, like we have this story about that other attorney Dennis or Bukowski or whatever, and how he got played. And that was like definitely comic relief, right? Because he definitely got played, and She-Hulk and
that
company
was amazing.
like got to make fun of him, like almost like a little bit of revenge of like how much of an asshole this guy is, and these guys are like, they helped him out, but at the same time like roasting him in the process, right? But dude, I mean, it's not a boring episode. Wong appears, right? Like right in the middle of that interaction, he just opens up a portal, walks in the office, and is like, "Oh yeah, I'm here. I needed to tell you that I bailed out Abomination for this thing that I had to do, right?" So I thought just him appearing, right? It's a pretty big deal, even if there's like not a lot of action, right? It's like one of those.
You guys noticed?
You know what I read online? How like sometimes they're like putting like tweets and whatever, like how people are hating on She-Hulk, like the actual like person in the show, not like in the real world, but like in the Marvel show. They're like, this person said this, blah blah blah, like on the news and whatnot. I read online like the executive producers are like they based that off of all the hate they received before the show even aired, and some of them were actual tweets like from the real world that they just threw on there from the like real people.
Wow.
And like,
that's fucking genius.
Why are we having a woke Hulk? Why is every character gotta have a female counterpart? Blah blah blah. Like, and it was and these were like all based on like real world tweets and stuff.
That's genius.
Yeah, I think so too.
The little, I guess, weird thing that I've been noticing lately, what I think a lot of people have noticed, is that Wong is the new Samuel L. Jackson.
You mean Wong is the new what's his? Oh yeah, actually you're right. I guess.
So
or the new Stan Lee, maybe. He's cameoing in a lot.
No, he's more than just cameoing. He's like getting involved in shit. Like, I mean, Shang-Chi, he didn't really need to be there, but he was there. And so like he's Nick Fury. It's Wong's world, and everyone's living in it.
He's the mystical Nick Fury. Mystical Nick Fury.
How about the fact that it showed on his LinkedIn or something? He worked at Target for 9 years.
Oh yeah. And then before becoming a Sorcerer Supreme, and like
it said Sorcerer Supreme, librarian, and then it said Target salesman for like 9 years. That was pretty funny. Yeah, it's on the episode. You need to pay attention.
I did not see that.
Let me see if I can pull it in. Wong.
That was hilarious. I was like, holy shit, he worked at Target.
What I thought was funny is like he really tried to get this part of Wong, like in the original Doctor Strange, because he's like, I forgot who was interviewing him. I think Tonight Show, and he's like, he was like talking about how like him and an actor friend were like, I'm going into Marvel. I think I'm going for Wong. He's like, so Wong is Wong? He's like,
yeah,
I'm trying. I don't.
You're right.
I'm trying, and then he's like, months later, months and months, his friend texts him, Wong is Wong? Question mark. Yes, Wong is Wong. He's like, that's how he told his like friend, actor friend, like he got the part after months of trying. What's the process called?
Casting.
The casting process. He's like, after months of going through the casting process, he finally got the part, and he told his friend, his actor friend, is like, Wong is Wong. Yes.
I mean, is there a more easier role?
No.
I'm putting it up. I'm putting it up on the screen right now. The screenshot, and it's employment history. Well, it says Wong, Sorcerer Supreme, right? Employment history, Sorcerer Supreme.
And he brags about being Sorcerer Supreme.
Yes, like every 5 minutes in the show, and then librarian, right? At the Kamara Taj, whatever. And then Target sales associate. That's hilarious, man. That is so funny. But we have him. Yeah, I mean, and correct me if I'm wrong, but like, if the timeline is right, I mean, based on the things that he said, when he's like, I need you to help me clear out, Emil, and then he kind of hinted at like erasing everybody's mind, right? Sort of like how he did with, or Doctor Strange did with Peter Parker, right? So,
that joke was funny. He kept on going. So that's Plan A, right? No, right. No wiping the mind. We're going the legal way. So we'll keep that as Plan B.
Yeah. No, Plan B was the mirror realm, I think.
Oh,
and then he's like, "Oh, okay, the dark realm or whatever." He's like,
the shadow realm.
The shadow realm.
There you go.
You know what's funny is like, I think when he was referring to, now this is gonna maybe cause a couple questions. I think when he was referring to don't do the mind erase thing, I don't think he's talking about Peter Parker.
Okay.
Because his mind should be. But here's why: if the mind erase worked and nobody knows Spider-Man is Peter Parker, then Wong doesn't know Spider-Man's Peter Parker. I think he's referring to, remember when Doctor Strange brought the idea up, and it's like, we did this at a party once.
Gotcha.
And that's what he's talking. He goes, well, I don't know what you're talking about. He goes, exactly. You don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because like, how does he? Why is he saying it got messy when he doesn't know?
Well, maybe because he's Sorcerer Supreme. I don't know, because I mean, maybe there's a group of people, but you make complete sense that if that really happened when Doctor Strange did it, then
I mean, even Doctor Strange doesn't remember Peter Parker as Spider-Man. So,
and then
right.
I mean, not to derail us too much, but I heard another theory about maybe the spell, because it hadn't been done before and might have like altered different things, right, in timeline. But we're saying like not only people were not remembering Peter Parker, but he never did what he did, right? Like he never took the actions that maybe it's not mind erased, but they just erased all the actions that he had in the movies. I don't know.
They know Spider-Man, but they just don't know Peter Parker. That's the thing.
Right. They know Spider-Man. They don't know Peter Parker anymore. So like, what's funny is, so you know how they dropped it back into theaters, and so there's a new after credit scene. Literally, after Peter Parker's erased from high school, all his friends, all his students that they've known about him. There's an after credit scene now where Betty Branch is having this little montage of the past history for their graduation, and they've literally eliminated Peter Parker from everything big, like the decathlon, any events in high school, whether it would be prom and stuff like that, any events that we're dealing with, any field trips, that's all gone. He's not a part of it. Wow. There's many pictures, like the stuff in when they travel to Paris or England, and that's all. He's all gone. He's out of there because he took so many. He didn't take any pictures with people, so it was easy to erase him.
Gotcha. That's interesting.
And there's literally one picture that there's a body there. That's him, but a bird flies in the area and covers his face.
That's crazy, man.
And I heard there's also a new Daredevil scene in the movie too. Or it's Daredevil versus the lead agent from Miss Marvel. Like
and then there's a lot of little. It's like maybe 12 to 15 minutes of extra scenes.
Oh wow!
And it's just him and Happy in courtroom talking to the agents, and it's when Peter and Aunt May go into Happy's house. He sees all these people, in the monitor going into it, and he's just checking his watch, checking who the hell's going into my house, and he's getting nervous, and Charlie Cox's character Daryl is he's like, hey man, you got to calm down. You're sweating way too much.
And this is all he says. The No Way Home, right? Like the No Way Home after credits. I'll have to check it out then. Yeah.
It's not after credits. They extended it. They did it like a director's cut.
Gotcha. I'll have to check that out. But going back to going back to the episode, we also see Jennifer Walters in action, right? Like during Emil's hearing. And after Wong said, yeah, I'll do it, no problem, I'm the start witness, this dude wouldn't show up, right? So she's kind of stumbling, trying to find other witnesses, which I thought was pretty funny, right? Like the dude, he saved his marriage and, he's bawling or whatever, some pretty funny scenes or whatever, but
I love it when the guy's bawling. He's like, okay, stop. That's enough. It's okay.
Yeah.
Gather yourself, buddy. It's okay.
Yeah, there you go.
But of course, right before, last second he shows up, clears his name, and also kind of convicts himself, right? Because he says, yeah, I broke him out of jail. And then yeah, all right, I got to go now.
The best is they go to him, well, you're telling us you committed a crime with aiding and abetting is an escapee. On that note, I have to leave. I'm out of here.
And then I thought it was cool too that during that process we saw Abomination, right? And it was interesting, right? Because everybody panicked or whatever, and you see this calm, collected, I told you guys, like the Hulk, right? I can dominate this, right? And putting his little white Crocs, right, on the floor, and saying hi to his women or whatever. I thought that was pretty interesting, but also gives me a feeling of is this dude playing us? Is that are we gonna see something crazy afterwards, or is he for real? Because you mentioned Damon, he's gonna get the device, right? But it didn't last on Hulk for too long, right? So
my question is if they're freaking out that much on Abomination, why don't people freak out at Hulk or at when Jennifer Walters is She-Hulk? What? Because he's a million times scarier, or
She-Hulk didn't destroy a city.
Yeah.
Or a country.
Hulk did.
Yeah.
But he ended up bringing everyone back. It was his snap that brought everyone back. So they're like, all right, well, we let go of all the bad things you did. You brought billions of people back with one snap. You saved the universe. Yeah, they even say it in the show. That's why I think it was the first episode they mentioned that. And my questioning is this. So we saw the big binder that Bruce Banner showed us. It took him so many years
15.
to have this agreement with Hulk to be able to possess this body, because like they state, he's always in a contract. He's always constantly mad. He's always having a debate with Hulk to make sure that they stay as Professor Hulk. But then you look at She-Hulk, she does it like this. You look at Abomination, he can do it willy-nilly because like he goes full Abomination and can control it. Hulk can't go full Hulk and control it. Like it's always so. Professor Hulk is the middle ground.
In the middle,
there's like Banner, and then there's Hulk, and Professor Hulk is the middle ground. Why can't Hulk go full Hulk and still be able to control it like Abomination? That threw me off a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, because Hulk is a different like personality, a different mind.
It's a different being.
It's a completely
different being.
Yeah. So,
but if Abomination it comes from the same super soldier serum as Hulk did, why can't he control it?
It wasn't just a super soldier serum. It was also like steroids and whatever other things the government added into it.
Yeah,
on top of the gamma, they added stuff to it. That's why, and that's what even he said. That's what even Emil Blonski said. He's like, I was volunteering for my country. I was trying to stop a criminal. The Hulk was a criminal at that point. I was doing my country duty.
He was just following orders. Yeah,
I was following orders. And then,
but my point is this. Why is he able to control it on full mode?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not worried about what's in his system. He can control it on full rage Abomination
because it's a different serum. Because it's a different serum.
Maybe
why.
Because.
Okay, but you just painted a picture saying that Abomination has a lot more worse shit inside of him. So why is he able to control it and Hulk isn't? Hulk is just super soldier serum and gamma rays.
I was just thinking that maybe because of what they have endured, right? Like the Abomination and She-Hulk, right? Like Abomination was forced to be in this locked up cage for so many years, like forced to meditate, forced to be able to control this, right? She-Hulk, I mean, she's just an ordinary human, right? And then she was able to control it because she can control her emotions. But what if maybe Hulk hasn't reached that point because one, maybe he doesn't want to, or two, there's a bunch of shit that has been happening to him that didn't happen to either Abomination or She-Hulk, right? Fighting fucking Thanos and shit. Like I think he hasn't had a lot of time to work on that piece, right? To be able to go full Hulk, and maybe we'll see that, right? In the future.
I disagree. Here's why. He was stuck being Hulk on Ragnarok for many years.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like Ragnarok happened over like a couple of months. He said in Hulk, it was a couple of years he was stuck as Hulk. He couldn't go back to Banner. So he's had the time to practice being full raging Hulk, and he still couldn't control him.
Yeah, but wasn't he fighting like as a gladiator? Like, wasn't he just fucking? I mean,
it wasn't a fight every day. His gladiator, he was the champion. So people would come in after going through so many rounds to get to the champion. So he had time to kill. I mean, that's where we know he has time to kill because he's obviously fathered somebody. That's why he's going back to Sakaar. Yeah. So I'm praying that's the story. And so, like, why can't Hulk control it and everyone else can control it?
Mm-hmm. But
what would have made more sense?
That's a question I've had.
Yeah.
What would have made more sense to me is if Jennifer also had like that Hulk personality. Like how
I think that's coming. I think that's coming.
Because she's basically like how he is now. It's Professor Hulk and Banner, but and hers is like it's Jennifer and then Jennifer Hulk, whatever.
Yeah, I think she's gonna have. I think she's gonna have a rage moment. I think she really is.
There is no like Hulk personality within Jennifer Walters' She-Hulk.
I think in the trailer we do see her at this meditation facility. So I think she might be in Emil's like new like farm where he's gonna provide meditations. So maybe she's there because she goes apeshit or whatever, or maybe she goes apeshit there. I don't know. We'll see, but I can't wait. I can't wait, to be honest with you. Um, so moving along.
Moving on.
Yeah, so we kind of jump back and forth, right, between that hearing and then like Runa's hearing. She ends up getting some jail time for like 60 days for impersonating a judge. I gotta give her credit though, man, for trying. Like she impersonated Dennis right away. Like try to persuade. I forgot what the other attorney's name. Like yeah, you know what? Never mind. Like
Pug.
cool. Pug, yeah.
Pug.
And then like impersonating the judge, and to be honest with you, I'm like, she had me for a second. Not with the judge, I knew that, but like when he impersonated Dennis, I'm like, what the fuck? But yeah, a good funny moment, right? Because we get to see Jennifer Walters kind of go on the stand and just ridicule her old colleague, right? And just kind of like, yeah, like you bought her. You thought Megan Thee Stallion like drove a Passat, bro? Like, come on, man.
that was a great line.
So that gets confirmed, right? So we jump into her just kind of walking home, and we see the wrecking crew. So we talked a little bit about that. Any other theories? Like you think? You think? I mean, I kind of said maybe it's just this. Maybe they'll come back, but you think they? I would think so, right?
I think we're going to find out soon. Well, let's just say I think we're going to find out towards the last couple of episodes who's doing all this, who's pulling the strings, who involved Wrecking Crew, and who's trying to like get some of that She-Hulk blood.
Gotcha. And then we jump to the end credits, right? And we get to this controversial end credit scene that, I thought it was
boring, actually.
Fun or whatever. I thought it was, fun. I mean, normally these, end credit scenes at the end of shows, right? At the end of movies, they're more serious, right? They drop like big hints or whatever. But at the end of these shows, sometimes it's a lot of comedy. It's a lot of like whatever, right? And we saw that ass shake, I go to social media and there's like a bunch of haters, bro. Just like we were talking about how they put it in the episode, right? A bunch of haters because they're like, oh, what does Marvel come to? Like they're twerking in the show, whatever. I didn't think it was a big deal. What do you guys think?
Honestly, it was just a way of catching attention. That's all it was. It was just like a marketing attention grab. You got Megan Thee Stallion. She does WAP. Let's get that ass twerking, and we'll just leave it as it is. Everyone that's bitching and complaining, they have too much time on their hands. Shut the fuck up. Enjoy the show and just move on.
Yeah.
Two things, guys. First of all, from what I read, Jamil, Titania, she's the one who actually got Megan Thee Stallion to be a cameo on the show because she worked out with her on another HBO Max show. I can't remember the name right now, but recently. So she called her, she told her what's up, and she gave her the Marvel info and whatnot, and she agreed to do it right away. And then the second thing, the twerking scene, that was all like added on because that was what's her name? Tatiana Maslany's idea because she wanted to. She's like, if she's a big fan of Megan Thee Stallion, and she's like, Megan Thee Stallion's here, I'm gonna twerk with her. I gotta do it with her. I gotta learn from her. I gotta be all about it. And then
people don't want people to have fun,
which is what makes sense, right? Like I thought that was a very human thing to do, right? Like if you. If you and it sounds like it, right? Like if you're a big fan, and by the way, I didn't know who Megan Thee Stallion. I thought it was a fictional character at first, so don't hate me for that. And then I mentioned it to my wife, and I'm like, do you know Megan Thee Stallion?
Crawl out of the rock.
And she's like, I like rock, and lately I just listen to podcasts, so I apologize. But she's like, yeah, she's the and I'm like, oh, okay, and I'm like, okay, that's right. So she's like, oh, I'm like, she wasn't She-Hulk. She's like, what? So maybe, bringing some of that crowd into this Marvel universe, right, to come watch the show, like maybe it'll be a little bit of an incentive for other people to come watch the show. But back to the very human thing, like we were talking about. If I see my idol I'm probably gonna act goofy too, right? Like if I see, someone that I look up to, I'm not gonna be like, "Hey, what's up?" I'm gonna be like, "Oh my god," and I
And that's
have,
what she did. And that's what she did. She said, "Oh my God, Megan, I will kill for you." Hey, calm it down. Calm it down now.
yeah.
I thought that part was hilarious too.
I saw,
Well, we'll see. We'll see what predictions come through. So,
yeah.
and see where the show takes us.
I was
Yeah.
just gonna say I saw Lionel Messi. I don't know if you guys are into soccer. Live scored 3 goals in one match, and I got on video and I just ridiculed myself. So I'm like, you know what? That makes sense. You see, something cool about your idol, you're probably gonna do that. Just do the same thing. But with that, I think we'll see what happens for the next episode, and we can jump into maybe House of the Dragon, unless you guys had any more She-Hulk.
I'm just gonna say I'm enjoying it. I haven't hated anything so far. It hasn't like gone down in quality or anything. I'm enjoying it so far. So I can't wait for the next episode.
Hell yeah, me too.
Yeah, I think the best is still to come.
Agreed.
The Daredevil eps are to come. That's what the best right there.
That's right. That's right, because he needs to.
Which I kind of forgot about it. Yeah, I kind of forgot about that too.
Yeah, and we'll see, man, because I hope it's not gonna be like a quick, just Matt Murdock scene, and we'll leave it, or maybe at like season finale he just shows up, and then we'll don't know what happens till the next show comes out. Although Marvel,
there's got to be a courtroom scene with him and Matt Murdock and her going against each other.
I was gonna say that Disney has been doing a really good job at bringing these high level, cameos, and not only cameos, but the storylines into the shows, right? That, these big drops, like for example, seeing the Hulk or Wong or whatever, or same thing for Star Wars, right? Like seeing Darth Vader and Obi-Wan in a fucking show. I mean, these are things that you had to wait years for them to come out in a movie, right? And they're just throwing it on a show, so I wouldn't be surprised if they do that. And just with this last 2 episodes, right? Like they dropped the thing about the Abomination and Wong fighting, and you're thinking, oh, I hope this next episode is not going to be about, them trying to find out if it's real or not, and we don't know till the end. Man, they said it right away. They're like, yep, they confirmed it. They said, yeah, whatever J-Mo said in episode 3 of Side Geeks, that's right. So
I gotta say, all these cameos and whatnot, and even like the shows, it's all because Feige's leadership and like his team that he put around him. Because when it was Marvel like films or Marvel Studios for films and Marvel TV, the best we ever got was once or twice, I think, on Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Nick Fury was on the first season, and then that's it. It was on the air for 7 years. I don't think there was anything else. Lady Sif and Nick Fury in the first season. Never again after that. I mean, that's how poorly Marvel TV was run before.
Yeah.
But once Kevin Feige got in there and took real leadership of this, I mean, can you imagine? I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
Look what he's done in a short period of time. I think
I'm going to make a T-shirt that says Feige 2024.
There you go. And speaking of T-shirts, man, J-Mo, what is that? Stark Industries, or is that like Stark, the House Stark? Oh, okay, there you go. So speaking of House Stark, we just watched the episode 3 of House of the Dragon. I was pumped. I thought it was a badass episode. Yeah, it started a little slow, but man, it ended up like with a bang. What are your thoughts? Did you guys just saw it too with me? So what do you guys think?
I mean, to be honest, there's a lot to uncover because we're going to be trying to trickle in 1, 2, and 3 into this podcast. So my first main takes, I guess, from all 3 episodes is, it's Game of Thrones-esque. You can feel the flavor. You can see it. You can smell it. You don't know which direction this cast is going to go into. We don't know who we're going to like, who we're going to hate, who's going to die soon. And, I love how it's set up. I love the evilness of Prince Daemon. I love the, I guess, kind of naiveness of King Viserys, because He's torn between who he's going to please and who he's not going to please. And then Princess Rhaenyra. I mean, how big of a role is she?
Yeah.
Because, them setting this back 172 years or 200 years or whatever it is, set us back enough where I don't think we really know using any Game of Thrones knowledge to help predict any of the futures here. So how they're setting it up is pretty cool. Finding out that I think Otto Hightower, the Hand of the King, is a bit shady, or a lot shady, but he is so smooth at his shadiness that it's like undetectable, almost.
I mean, even
that's an amazing actor, though. That's why I mean, Reese Ifans, whatever how you pronounce his last name. I mean, we were just talking before the podcast. You loved him in The Replacements with Keanu Reeves. I mean, he can do comedy, he can do drama. He's a all around great actor. So even if I don't, whatever.
He's Lizard in Spider-Man.
Yeah, I agree. And going back to that, right? Like the comment you said about Viserys, right? Like he seems to be just a really nice guy, right? Like and it's crazy that I guess just because of this like man versus woman mentality, right? Like they gave him the throne and he's just trying to be a nice guy. Like, he even made a comment of like, man, like whatever I do, somebody's gonna be bitching at me, right? Like whatever I do, like somebody's gonna be mad, and like, man, he's just trying to please everybody and trying to be a good brother, a good dad, and everybody's just fucking bitchy. And on top of that, he has gangrene on a finger and a fucking hole on his back, and so or a second hole on his back, and
put some alcohol on that shit. Jesus Christ. You got plenty of wine.
But definitely, I saw the Game of Thrones-esque signature, right, of writing and developing culminate within like some of the episode 2, and then like this episode, right? It was like, okay, shit, we're back.
I gotta say, and just from seeing the first 3 episodes, I'm sorry, but this does not really live up to Game of Thrones. Especially the beginning of Game of Thrones. The beginning of Game of Thrones was way better than this.
How so?
Why? Because there was a sex scene between brother and sister, and a little kid got thrown out the window.
Exactly. No, but story-wise, I was more like fascinated. It drew me in. This series.
Yeah,
it's so. I know even Game of Thrones was slow at points, but this thing 90% like slow and like 5% some action and then 5% some other BS.
I have to. Well, I don't want to say disagree because I think I see your point. I see where you're coming from, right? Because if you think about it, okay, the end of episode 1 for Game of Thrones, they throw out Bran off the window or whatever, and you're like, oh my god, fuck, or whatever, right? At the end of episode 1 of House of the Dragon, fucking Rhaenyra says Dracarys, and then they burn the shit out of fucking her mom and her little brother, bro. Like, that line right there, that Dracarys, bro, from like Daenerys Targaryen, like gave me chills. Because it's like, okay, 200 years in the past or whatever, like, it just overwhelmed me because I'm like, man, this is coming back, So I
love the face-off with the 2 dragons in episode 2 that showed up coming through the clouds, and all of a sudden they face off against each other. I mean, I can't agree with you as it being not as good. Is it slower? Yeah, it's slower, but it's still good.
Yeah,
to me, it's still good.
From I see.
Absolutely. You know what perfectly sums up why this one's a subpar Game of Thrones show?
Stop saying that. Mean. That's blasphemous.
I mean, because especially this episode especially confirmed it. They had the main villain, the Damon's opponent. Never heard a word. Never really did anything, and then he just gets killed. Come on. In Game of Thrones, when there was a big opponent that they were facing, we heard him speak, we heard him do things, we saw him do things, we saw him do everything, and this this thing. Well, we saw him nail a couple of nails into guys, and that's about it. Nothing really happened with this guy character-wise.
I saw it in a different light, and only because
I saw a different light.
Because Damon was kind of being showed as not a pussy, right? But like almost.
Let me just emphasize, we're talking,
kid, right?
Let's just emphasize, we're talking about the final scene of episode 3.
Yeah,
so the viewers understand what we're getting at.
The main crab feeder, right? The pirate, gets killed
easily or
whatever. Like we don't even see that part, right? We don't even see how he gets killed. But my point is that. We kind of see this Damon like as this whiny little brother, and I'm just gonna take my army, and I think that was the feedback on him. But on this episode, man, we saw how much of a badass he is, bro. He
came up.
Who's gonna go?
Come up.
Who's gonna go down there and like sacrifice themselves? Like they're gonna die. And by the way, Recon, that's how you dive or swerve. Between arrows, bro. And I'm talking about Recon Stark. This guy was dodging arrows, and he actually got hit like 2 or 3 times, with like a piece of an arrow in his chest. He goes in there and slices this pirate like nothing, bro. So I think that, that was just a setup for like how much of a badass this guy is going to be during the show.
That battle was amazing.
I think to chime on to what Rudy's saying is, the crab leader, we don't even know his name, to be honest with you. I think he was just a setup fall guy. For us viewers, he's a setup fall guy to really establish who the bad guy is. So my point is this. Word came about from King Viserys. He's going to send aid. As soon as he saw my brother's going to try to lend his hand and help me, fuck that motherfucker. Mm-hmm. He's like, I'd rather fucking die than let that bitch help me. So I was like, you know what? I'm definitely going after the throne now. So I'm going to act like a hero. I'm going to sacrifice my body, go with the plan that Valerian said, and I'm going to sacrifice myself, and then for my own fucking benefit. And then after winning that battle with the Crab King, chopping him in half, dragging his intestines and everything across the fucking mud, planting that sword down. He goes, "I'm the motherfucking king, and I'm coming for the throne." Yeah. That's what that established.
Don't get me wrong. Everything on his side of the equation was amazing, but on the enemy side, the opponent side, there was nothing.
It was just a setup,
right?
It's just a setup.
But they've been setting up since episode 1, like something.
That's
big.
Game of Thrones. That's Game of Thrones. That's all they do is set up.
No, dude. No.
Yeah.
Even in the worst minor characters on Game of Thrones, they had so much story on them. This time, nothing. We don't know anything about this guy except he's calling himself like Crab King.
Right, right. I mean, we didn't see anything but like him, and I think the first time he came out, this pirate, the Crab King or whatever, was episode 2, right? Like the beginning of episode 2, he was like nailing motherfuckers to the beach or whatever, so that crabs can feed, and we're like, what? Like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, and then, he had an army, he had a good position, right, or tactical position. They could like go into caves like fucking crabs or whatever, but maybe he was a weak guy, like he was sick, but maybe he was weak or whatever, or maybe Damon is just such a badass, right? Yeah, they didn't show us a huge battle between them two, but I think it's because he wasn't shit compared to what's coming next, right?
You guys aren't seeing my point. You guys really aren't seeing my point. I get it. The battle was amazing. It didn't matter if they didn't show it. Everything on Damon's side, Damon's side was amazing. Everything for his story was amazing. But I'm saying on the original Game of Thrones, even minor characters like the Crab King would have had backstory, would have explained his position and everything. Even though
it's not true, because it happened in Game of Thrones too. Because remember, the Lannisters' daughter that they sent away, you barely heard about her until like season 6.
Yeah,
you heard her name here and there. You didn't know shit about her until like late towards the end of it. So they've done it in both shows, is what I'm telling you. You heard a name here and there, and that's it. What I'm telling you about that, you keep comparing the two, and this storyline that they're using is they're just using this battle, and they've used battles in Game of Thrones to heighten whoever that person is. Whether there's a battle, okay, so we found out that in the first season that Robert Baratheon killed the Mad King. We didn't know shit about the Mad King. We didn't know a goddamn thing about him when we first started watching the show, and he kills him, and now he's fucking king. So that's what this motherfucker's doing too. He's finding out that, you know what, this fucking Crab King, he's a main bad guy. I'm gonna gain the throne by showing up my brother and killing this guy. So they did the same exact thing in season 1 of Game of Thrones.
I don't see it.
Yeah,
I seriously don't see it.
Now, one thing that I do have to say is, and I'll get your thoughts, but you know, on Damon's side or whatever he did, you said, you know, everything was flawless. I thought that waving the white flag was a fucking shitty strategy.
Oh, dude, that was awesome.
I mean, I know it was awesome, but at the same time, it's like, oh man, like that's kind of cheating, man. You're waving the white flag, you know, like
it goes back to that. What do they say? All's fair in love and war.
Yeah,
all's fair, bro.
Well, it kind of tells us, right, like that honor. It don't mean shit in this for this guy.
No,
like
this guy has zero honor.
You know, so again, I thought that was awesome. Couple other scenes to call out. I forgot what they called it in the show, but the white elk, right? That we're trying to hunt. I thought that was like really
significant,
awesome, right? Significant that you know, the king, and I think we find out afterwards, right, that he tells Rhaenyra, like, man, like, I'm not changing my mind, right? Like, you're the heir or whatever. But even before that, it manifests by her seeing the fucking white elk, right? Like, it didn't appear, you know, to him. It was to her. And then the whole boar scene was pretty crazy, right? How she walks in all fucking bloodied out or whatever. Like, man, she's a badass, and I think that was also what kind of solidified his decision of like, yeah, man, like, you know, like she has the balls to do this. Like, let's change the rules.
Uncle and niece bloodied out at the end of the day. That was crazy.
Yeah.
Could you imagine, like, if she actually walked in on that fucking white elk to show up her dad? Yeah, you want to kill this for my brother? You want to gain this boy from my wife. Look, I brought him in, not even harmed. He's my pet now.
Yeah,
I should be queen.
That would have been awesome.
That'd have been sick.
Fucking put some wings on that motherfucker and start flying. But we also saw a little bit of glimpse at the Lannister house, right? Like trying to bang into the Targaryens.
Did they say he was a twin?
I don't know. Did they?
I thought they said he was. I thought they said he was a twin. I don't know if they said it so like nonchalantly.
They said like I think like there's a Lannister like in the council or something, and he's the twin.
Jason Lannister.
Yeah, Jason Lannister. Which was another thing that I noticed. Just like not a very Game of Thrones-esque name, right? Like Jason.
Yeah.
Like what the fuck?
Hey, Jason.
And then another.
Oh, you mean Jason from down the street? Yeah, I know Jason.
Jason Lannister. Although he did have that like scumbaggish, you know, like persona, right? Like
Lannister. Lannister.
Right. When he's like talking to her and shit, and she's looking that way, and he's like checking that ass, like, like this is what I'm gonna wife. Yeah, boy. But yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting. Like even 200 years back or 170, whatever, a Jason, and we saw a pug too. Like pugs didn't exist till like modern day, right? Like what the fuck?
I actually don't know about that.
Yeah, I thought that was weird. But anyway, just a quick observation.
You know what I took? You know what I took away from like some of these characters? So going back to Viserys, he is the most unlikely Targaryen I've ever met. Like they're all like really, in my eyes, his daughter, his cousin that married the Valyrian king, his brother, all of them that we've met so far. They sound, act, and look like Targaryens, and they're very conniving. They're mystical. They're mysterious. You don't know where their mind's going. Viserys is just like, these are my emotions, and I'm not letting it all out. I don't know what to do right now, and that's weird hearing from a Targaryen like that.
Yeah,
isn't the one that married the Valyrian his sister?
His cousin.
Yeah. I think it might be, and I don't know, right? But like, I think it
Maybe
might
his
be
sister, but I think it's his cousin.
a
I think it's just
reflection of like no conflict, right? Like because if your house, right, if your bloodline has been reigning for
House of
so
Castillo?
many years, right? Like, yeah, absolutely. Like for so many years, it's like, yeah, like I'm gonna be a nice guy, and you don't have that thirst, right? Like Damon has right now. Like I want that throne. And speaking of throne, I heard a theory bounced around there that do you think is the throne? And again, this is just a theory because we didn't kind of see this in Game of Thrones. But do you think is the throne like because he's not fit to it? Like that's why he is sick. Like that's why the hole in his back and the gangrene. Because I think it was on the throne that he cut his finger, right?
Yeah.
his finger got caught on the armrest, and the back, he got punctured from the back of the throne both times.
And they said those are the swords of all the people they've killed throughout the time.
Yeah.
And so, they didn't clean that shit. Not back then.
Like,
So he's got an STD. He's got COVID. He's got everything. Getting one stab mark.
he's banging a hell of a chick though. Otto's daughter, Hightower, right? Like what? Ooh, yeah. Good
pickup. Good pickup.
Yeah. I mean, like, and even Rhaenyra calls him out, right? Like, man, like if you wanted to strengthen the bloodline, you should have, married the little girl, right? Like, shit, like you guys did it, right? But I have a feeling that he's just a good guy, right? Like he's just trying to do the right thing and make the right moves, and it's just not working out for him.
You know what was the most like scumbaggiest thing Hightower did so far? He's like, why don't you have Aegon marry Rhaenyra?
Yeah.
What the fuck was that? I mean, I know it's like ancient times, but come on.
He wants to move up, bro. That guy's looking for CEO of House Targaryen. That's what he wants.
Absolutely, man. He wants his grandson to be like the boss.
What? Well, looking up because I'm not that historically accurate with like House of Dragons or Game of Thrones, but like I did find out that Aegon, the son that we just see,
yeah,
he's the father of the Mad King.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, and one thing, and I was gonna say,
I'm like, holy shit!
Like, don't pull up like because you can actually Google like the whole family trees or whatever, and if you do that, I think you're gonna spoil House of the Dragon for yourself. So don't do that. Because you'll see some of the things as they come up, right? Like Aegon, like he's the Mad King's dad. But if you pull up the whole thing, I think it may spoil it because I think you're gonna see like Starks, Lannisters, and things like that. So stay off the Google if you want to.
Let me ask you this: how far of a time jump will we get? Do you think how far into the world of these people are we going to jump into? Are we going to see King Aegon?
I don't think
at one point.
I think so, but I think that I don't think it's going to be that much. I think that if what's the princess Rhaenyra is like 15 right now, I think they might jump like 10 years, right?
No, she's older now. She's like 17, 18
or
now.
Maybe
they jumped 2 years.
So where Aegon is a teenager, right? Like where he's a teenager, and I think we're gonna see that, and it's possible that in future seasons we see it jump further, right? But which would be awesome, right? If we get to see the Mad King, but I do think that we will see Aegon, kind of like a Joffrey situation, right? Where like he gets the throne. We'll see, right? But I think we will see him on the throne eventually.
Well, what I know already is there's the younger version who we've been watching of Rhaenyra and the current queen, and then they have like an older version. So I don't know if that's towards the end of the season, but I know there's like older versions. So I don't know how many years in between, 10 years or something, until we get those older actors in there playing like Rhaenyra and the new queen. But there is a big time span.
Yeah, that's the theory, right? That it's going to jump, but it's not going to be like 50 years or 100 years. I think it's going to jump just like, You know,
This episode, they said at the end, if you watch like the behind the scenes thing, it said they jumped 3 years. That's how there's already
oh
a
yeah,
2-year-old Aegon.
yeah, exactly. I think he was it was his birthday or
So, see,
whatever.
how far do you think it's going to jump? What's the next jump going to be?
I think again,
I don't know.
I think they're just gonna make Rhaenyra old enough to be able to show her boobs. So 25, 30, you know.
So 18 is what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, duh. They have to keep us engaged. But anyway, yeah, I was pumped. There, I thought it would start a little slow, especially this episode 3. But man, by the end of the show, I was like, yes, thank you. Game of Thrones is back. Zaya disagrees, but shit.
They need, I don't know. The battle scene was amazing, but like I said, they need more something. Something more. I don't know what it's missing something that it needs more of.
I have a
I can't
feeling
put my finger on it, but
that at the end of this season, Saya's gonna be like, this is my favorite fucking show. I don't want to see anything else but House of the Dragon. Oh,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's not Star Trek. It'll never happen.
All right. So, anything else to add on? House of the
You know what's
Dragon?
cool about this show? Like, it's hard to predict this show, and that's what I love about it. Like
Exactly.
with anything else, whether it be MCU, DC, anything sci-fi related, I feel like I can get a grasp on where it's going. With shows like this, I have no idea. Nobody's safe. Nobody, you don't know who's going to turn on who, and that's the biggest attribute that these shows have.
Yeah, we don't know anything, and this is just a prequel show of the story of this particular house, right? And I think we're gonna get more like this with the other houses, right? Like we saw a Stark here and there, we saw a Lannister here and there, but this is a story about the Targaryens. We're gonna get more, man. I think we're gonna get more. I can't wait for the Starks, right? And so on and so on. So keep them coming because I think they're great. Hey, boobs, dragons, and violence. Perfect formula.
Aren't they supposedly making another like Game of Thrones like show, another spinoff?
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
Because this was so popular that
Jon Snow's getting his own show.
There it is. Yes, that's what it was. I was thinking of. Yeah, Jon Snow's getting his own show.
This is
They should call it that, the Jon Snow Show.
they want your $9.99 monthly, bro. They're gonna keep it going.
And
All right.
they need it because they're hurting, so they need it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's crazy, because like when I think of shows, and I used to get into like a lot of different things, right? But like, when I like quality of shows, you always relied on HBO because they would have the baddest motherfucking shows, right? Like compared to like any TV shows, they may have a good story or whatever, but not HBO budget, right? So I was always like HBO show guaranteed to be good.
Can I just interject real quick because how you're saying quality wise? What I know this is totally left field, but it's towards HBO. But I was listening to like the Entourage podcast, and the guy, the creator and like a showrunner and stuff, he's like that final season. The only reason that they didn't continue, even though they were still getting like millions of like people watching it as much as the first season, is because someone new came in and basically like cleaned house and just tried to bring in their own stuff. And that's why until like Game of Thrones and stuff, HBO kind of went down in quality. And then, I don't know, they're starting to come back up. Mayor of Easttown, Game of Thrones, and then now House of the Dragons. But, after that new guy came in, after the president or whatever CEO of HBO got replaced, and he canceled all the Sopranos, Entourage, and whatnot, their quality went down. He tried to save money instead of giving people quality stuff.
Yeah, I feel like though, as Entourage finished, or should have finished where it did, I think that a couple more seasons we probably would have lost it, right? Like because I think it was great, these guys, but it got to the point where like, what else can they do, right? Like, what else is gonna happen? So I thought that was great. The Sopranos, same thing. By the way, I just saw the Saints of Newark movie this past weekend. Fucking great. Definitely
Bro, don't
recommend it.
hit
But dude, like Westworld, Succession,
Westworld. Oh my God.
Westworld. I mean, Westworld.
You guys. We're escaping our agenda. I want to
go.
talk about Samaritan. God
Let's
damn
do
it.
it. Let's do it.
We're going on this tangent after we're finished with the House of Dragons. I want to talk about Samaritan.
Final
Let's do
thought
it.
before we go to Samaritan is
Jesus Christ.
don't hate on Entourage. I love it.
I love it too, man.
Star Trek and Entourage.
Stay on topic.
All right, Samaritan now. Let's go to Samaritan. All right, I'm done.
Samaritan.
One of the worst things I've ever seen, I think, ever done by Sylvester Stallone. And I've seen a lot of bad shit he's done. It ranks up there with Stop Where My Mom Will Shoot.
Classic comedy. What are you talking?
So I'm guessing you.
Killing me with your likes.
I'm guessing you didn't like it.
It was awful. I didn't even finish it. I'm like, I can't keep watching this. It was some of the worst acting I've ever seen in my entire life, on all aspects. There was nothing good about it.
I agree. I
The storyline, everything about it, and like, I ended it as soon as I'm like, I already know what this is. And I as soon as he started talking about saying Samaritan is dead, I'm like, oh, because the other guy won. Boom, done. And I'm like, oh, are you fucking serious? I just turned it off. I'm like, get out of here. I'm like, get out of here with this nonsense. Even the action scenes weren't good.
I feel
It was. The critics agree with you. They're like, it was a generic superhero story. It was this, it was that. And I kind of get it. Yeah, you're right. But the only thing I liked about it is it's not MCU, it's not DC, it's kind of original. That's why I was like, it was
No, the only thing you like about it is it involved Rocky Balboa. That's the only thing you liked about it. Okay, you're a diehard fan when it comes to certain people. And
I like Rocky. I like Sylvester Stallone.
So they're like, you know what? I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, and you should stop him.
Yes.
So
but
I'll tell you. I like Sylvester Stallone, right? Like
I love him. I think his shows would be amazing.
Yeah, I grew up with him, and he was like one of my Rambo was one of my guys, right? Like him, Schwarzenegger, and Bruce Willis, right? Van Damme, Bruce Willis, all those dudes, man. Like Expendables, right? Like so I'm like, when we talked about it in the last podcast, and they're like, "Oh, it's out now," and I'm like, "I'm gonna go watch it," and I did. I sure did. And you're right. Like I was giving you updates on the chat, and I'm like, man, like this sucks. I think the one part that turned it over for me, and I'll go back a little bit, right? Like they have the bad guy in the movie. He's from Game of Thrones too. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be the bad guy. I'm like, this is gonna be awesome because he's an asshole. Great acting in Game of Thrones. I don't know what happened in this movie because you're right. Like it just sucked. I'm a big fan of Martin Starr, who was the librarian. Like he had a book and had like all these theories. He's a funny guy, man. Like I'm like, he's gonna be in this movie, and then like nothing. Like he doesn't. Like I thought he was gonna have a big reveal or something, like was gonna help the kid or something. Nothing.
Even the kid stuff.
Yeah. The kid. I think the kid is in. It was. I think it was a Hulu show about. I think it was a comic book show too. Damn, I forgot what it was called, but it's like he's pretty good, but in this, like it seemed like they didn't have very good direction.
Do you guys know if who wrote it?
Utopia. No.
Did Sly write it? Please tell me he didn't write it.
Who?
Did Sylvester Stallone write the stamp script too?
Let me see.
I hope not, because I don't want to bash him everywhere.
Production, director. I don't know. You go ahead.
Anyway.
But anyway, so I was pumped because of some of this cast.
Baragi F. Shoot wrote it.
Okay, he needs to get. He never needs to write again.
He needs to retire.
And as I was saying, right, like it sucked, and I was even telling you guys, man, like this movie sucks, And then there was this point where they did the twist, like, oh, he's not Samaritan. He's the bad guy, but he's good now. I was like, oh, so you said you figured it out at the beginning. I'm like, oh, it really got me. Like, he's not Samaritan, you know? And I'm like, cool. That's a good twist. It's about to get down. Like, the action's about to start. And it was like, whatever. But if it wasn't for that little bit, you know, I thought I would definitely be like, yeah, nah. But yeah, I like that little twist. At least they threw that in there.
Yeah, I wasted whatever it was, 2 hours, an hour, 45 minutes of my life. I wasted it. I'd rather rewatch Morbius.
Unlike, which one's better though, Morbius or this?
Morbius is better.
No way. Samaritan was way better than Morbius.
They are both the shit that's stuck in the bottom of my shoe. It's just one's wet and one's dry. That's the best way you can do it.
I don't know. Acting wise, Sylvester was way better than what's his name in Morbius, so I gotta give it to him. But
nah, I don't think the acting was good at all, bro.
The thing I'm saying is the acting was so bad in both movies that I can't tell you to this point which one was the worst, because there was so much bad movies and acting.
And I think it was like the directing too, right? Because it seems like they shot a scene and they were just good with it, right? Like they probably could have worked a little harder into like the acting and the dramatization or whatever, but it was just so cheesy, man. I mean, this kid, I just pulled it up. He's in a series called Utopia, which is a crazy fucking series, right?
Is that the HBO one?
I believe
that's Euphoria. That's Euphoria.
He's on Euphoria
He's on
too.
Euphoria too, but I'm talking about Utopia, and that is on Prime Video, which it's a crazy, and it's a comic book, like it's comic book related,
right?
But he just does 1,000% better than what he did in this movie, right? Like, you know, whatever.
Look, I don't blame the actors. I blame whoever wrote and directed this thing, because they're the ones that cut out probably God knows what good acting there was in this movie.
And the editing and the editor, whoever edited it too.
The editor, yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, we don't know how much footage they really had and what they left out, because I know in Morbius that movie is cut for shit. I mean, whoever cut that, like, it's like, where are we going?
We know for sure Morbius had so much cut out that was in the trailer, but not in the movie. And this one, I think you're right that they could have edited it better. I mean, depending on editing, you could have two completely different movies. Look at, I mean, I don't know how much of it was new, but Justice League, Joss Whedon and Snyder, completely different movies. I know Snyder added stuff, but completely different takes on the same exact like script and stuff.
No, with those two, Whedon just said, "Fuck what you did, Snyder. I'm gonna do $100 million worth of reshoots." Like, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's why you don't have a job today. Other than that, and you're, sexually harassing women.
And there's
he dropped shit that Snyder shot. He added shit that no one wanted. The family, the scene in the beginning with Batman and the robber and stuff, just to show the parademons in the city. Oh my god, come on, seriously.
Just to reiterate to the viewers out there, do not watch Samaritan.
Yeah,
do not watch Samaritan.
The entertainment factor, right? Like, you can have bad acting. You know, it's funny because I watched the movie Heavyweights. It's like a 90s kid movie or whatever. I don't know if you saw that one. You know,
hilarious.
Horrible acting. Like, I was watching it like, man, this is horrible, but it's entertaining, right? Like, it's just like they throw the Ben Stiller character and these fat kids or whatever. It's entertaining. Like, this movie had his little parts, right? Like the part where he saves the little girl from the grenade or whatever. Like, I thought that was cool.
I like how he flipped the car.
Yeah,
that was kind of cool.
Like, that was like one thing, but the twist, I thought that was another thing. But other than that, like,
how'd you like the de-aged Sylvester Stallone with the beard and stuff?
It was okay.
Stallone, yeah, I mean, that's badass. I kind
You
of
know they took that from Rocky 3 or Rocky 4. Rocky
Yeah.
No, no, that was from like a Cobra or something he had like with a beard in the past.
You know what? I'll tell
No,
you this. What could have
remember the training scene from Rocky 4 in the snow? He grows that beard. I'm like,
You're
yeah,
right.
that's a bad
You're right. There you go.
you know what could have saved this movie, man? If they would have made it like a rated R movie. And like because Rambo, if you think about Rambo, like I think whatever one of the last ones is also terrible acting, but there's fucking
Oh, yeah.
action, there's gore, there's
John
machine gun.
Rambo one? Yeah.
Yeah, so like if they would have done something like this where like it was a little bit more, I don't know if gory, but like more violent, right? Like I think it would have worked out. I mean, we didn't even see the guy in the fucking suit. We saw him like in the flashbacks, right? But like, like put the suit on, man.
I don't think it fits.
You mean
Oh, yeah.
the original Samaritan?
Yeah.
They showed him, but like right before he dies.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Spoiler.
Like it was the
Spoiler.
like the flashbacks, but we never saw
Yeah.
the current guy, whether he was Samaritan or what was the bad guy's name? I forgot.
That's how bad it was.
Nemesis. Like he never put a suit on. He never, like so. It was like I was waiting for that too.
Just they couldn't even create good names for these people. He's a Samaritan, and this is his nemesis. Are you fucking serious?
This is his nemesis.
I mean, you can even create good bad guy names and good guy names. So he's a good Samaritan, and he's an evil nemesis.
Think about it, man. It's Stallone sitting
Not
at a
that deep.
fucking table with the writers and just being like, so what should we call this guy? Hey, I'm a good Samaritan. I'm a good Samaritan. So what do we call his
nemesis?
I saw a website saying that before Lord of the Rings show came out, this was one of like the top streaming movies on Amazon right now.
So sad.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah.
I think you might get a sequel just to spite James and Rudy over here.
I doubt
I
it.
promise you, I will not watch it.
I will.
You guys can talk about all you want.
You probably will watch it. I probably will watch it, but
You watch everything, and we noticed from the bombardment of diarrhea that you sent with all those links, and I was like, I can't even keep track of all these links. Jesus Christ!
Those are
I'm
old
like,
shows from like. I'm like sending you stuff. I'm like sending you stuff from 10 years ago or something. I was like, have you ever seen this show from the past? It's over now. You can watch the whole thing whenever you want. But
anyway,
that's why your encyclopedia added again.
Encyclopedia. Anyway, so IMDb gave it a 5.8 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes a 40%, which is shitty. Metacritic like 45%. So I think that if it got a 5.8, it's because Stallone is in it, and like the nostalgia, right? But
yeah,
I think you're right. If Stallone wasn't in this, the each rating would be even lower. Rotten Tomatoes 10%. IMDb, like 3 stars, 2 stars. All of them would have decreased. But Stallone, such star power,
maybe it's because of Stallone's paycheck. It's because of Stallone's paycheck they couldn't put enough money in writing and editing.
I mean, damn, he didn't just star in it; he produced it too. So he got money both ways.
He's really getting paid. He's really racking it in. I bet you he gets like $20 million for a movie.
You know what kills me though? Stallone's doing. He's piecing out of Expendables. I think he's giving it to Jason Statham. Did you guys hear that?
No.
Yep. The next one is his last one. That's what I heard. It's his last one, so I don't know if they're gonna keep going.
I think they should just if it's his last one, then it should be the last one.
I mean, dude, the dude is 76 years old, bro. Like, I mean,
but he's still doing action movies. It's not like if he stopped doing action movies, I get it. But why are you gonna kill a franchise or leave a franchise?
What is the fuck is this card made out of? Iron?
I don't know, man.
Him and Liam Neeson.
You look at some of the scenes in, let's say, Expendables, right? He's going full sprint at 76. I mean, last time I knew somebody at 76, it was my grandfather, and he wasn't running anywhere.
Dude, the first movie, oh my god, he messed himself up so bad. I think he got like a spinal fracture.
No, he got cracked ribs hitting the wall, and then he had lesions on his back from it, the sharp edges of the wall too.
Yeah, I mean,
He's like, from
that
that
dude has
fight
been a
scene with-
stud.
I remember seeing like a documentary or like a behind the scenes video where they're like showing him going to the hospital, getting MRIs and whatnot, and them diagnosing him and stuff.
As
Damn.
bad as this movie was, I'm still super excited to see Tulsa King with him in it.
Yes, I would love to see that too.
Yeah.
All right, so we're calling it a day. We're calling it.
Thank
I
you
think
for
we
the
covered a
episode.
lot. We keep saying like, oh yeah, we're gonna do a shorter podcast, and there's a lot of things to pack in, so a lot of material. We'll put it out there on Spotify. But go ahead, Zaya.
Next episode, we gotta jump into Lord of the Rings because we never got to that this time. I haven't seen it anyway, so good thing we didn't get to it. But I'm hearing like it got even more views than the pilot of House of the Dragon. They got like 25 million views. House of the Dragon got like 20. So
yeah,
I mean, if that many people watched it,
that's a whole different crowd. I started watching it. It looks, and I mean, like the first 30 minutes, pretty awesome. And I'm not a fan of Lord of the Rings, so I got to tell you that. Or Bilbo Baggins, or whatever his name is. I'm not a huge fan. I saw the movies.
You're not a Hobbit fan? You're not a Hobbit fan?
I am not. I mean, I don't hate it like Star Trek, but
my heart.
And with that, we're going to close the show for today. Thank you all for staying this late in the episode. Again, please share, like, subscribe, comment, let your friends know. We're this is our 4th episode. We're trying here. I think is, one of our passions to talk about these things, right? So if you're passionate about these shows, please check us out. Share it to somebody that likes She-Hulk and all these new shows, House of the Dragon and and let us know what other movies, shows you want us to review. Zaya has 100 of them that he wants us to review, but we don't have time. But let us know what you want and we'll do it. J-Mo, Zaya, we're good?
Adios, everybody.
Yes, we're good.
All right, we'll see you next week.